I absolutely adore plants. They make me happy. I love taking care of them. I love seeing them grow. I love just waking up, going outside of my room and looking at my Monstera and seeing new leaves unfurl. I love waking up and looking at the variegation and just being so excited by it and so amazed by it that we have these natural living things that can create such gorgeous, beautiful patterns. And I love that plants make other people happy. I love giving plants to people. I love everything about them. I love learning about them. And now I hope that I will love telling other people about them and sharing my love. So we're gonna get started with my Aglaonemas. I have 3 of them, and it actually took me a while of collecting plants, buying plants, before I was really interested in picking up any Aglaonemas. And then I kind of discovered, I just looked a bit closer and I was like, no, these are kind of beautiful. These are really beautiful. Now the first one I picked up is a Silver Bay, and honestly, it kind of looks a little sad right now. It used to be much fuller when I first bought it, but the way that these guys grow is kind of like trees. You can see that this used to be where it was in the soil, was right about there, and it's grown up since then. So it honestly could do with a bit of a chop, a bit of a repot, if you will. Yeah, no, she's beautiful. There's nothing too crazy special about her. Whereas on the other hand, Aglaonema Valentine is just stunning. I fell in love with this pink variegation. I think it is just absolutely stunning. I love the pattern. You're gonna see a common theme here is that I love all pink plants. They really have my heart. I love them so much. I think it's so beautiful that nature can create such vibrant, vivacious colors. And yeah, the Aglaonema Valentine is no exception. Although if you are looking for something with a bit more punch, a bit more depth and color, the Aglaonema Ruby Red that I have right here is definitely going to deliver on that. The pink is much more of a fuchsia, closer to a red, right? We've got the Ruby Red. A couple new growth points coming in there, very exciting. I'm kind of in love with the petioles on this plant because they're like a light baby pink, which is just stunning, honestly. And right now, don't tell the other ones, this was probably my favorite Aglaonema of the moment. And so up next, we're going to talk about Monsteras. And Monsteras, it's a classic genus, truly. But one of the Monsteras that I own was a plant that really was just at the top of my wish list for so long, and I recently got a hold of one, and it makes me so happy. But first, let's start off with the Deliciosa. Now, I think that if you collect plants, you've got a Deliciosa. I feel like it's a classic, right? There's absolutely gorgeous fenestrations on it. It is just a stunning plant, truly, and one that makes me really excited because it is one of my favorite plants to see new growth on, because I just love seeing the leaves unfurl. You can see that we've got one little guy right there, another one coming in right there. This plant definitely used to be more full, but unfortunately I had it in my room for a very long time. It lives in the hallway now. But when I kept it in my room, I kind of shoved it a bit in the corner, and I had to get rid of a few leaves just to make it work. But now I'm letting it live its best life in the hallway, and hopefully it will kind of make itself full again. Next up, we have the Monstera adansonii. Now, don't mind the little bit of yellowing. I did let this guy go a little too long without giving it water, but it is also just in the most stunning pot. This pot is from Talon Burt. I will link it in the description, and I got it for Christmas. And then we've got the Monstera Peru, which was the one that I was after for so long. I am obsessed with these leaves. I'm obsessed. I love how like pillowy they look. Kind of like almost shell-like, but just like puffy. I love them, and I was very excited when I saw this guy come in. I was very, very excited. But yeah, I love that I can own this now, and I can look at it every single day and just smile. All right, and so next up we're going to be covering all the philodendrons, another household genus. So first up, let's talk about my little philodendron burrow marks that I've got here. Kind of picked this guy up on a whim just because I thought that the leaves were just so interesting. I love the shape. Hadn't heard too much about it, and I've seen a lot of the variegated burrow marks, and they're just gorgeous. And you know, maybe one day I'll have to get my hands on it, but yeah, no, just little burrow marks. We love him. Next up, we've got my philodendron lemon lime, which is, you know, like your classic sweetheart plant, but a little bit of a different coloring on it. This is the philodendron Florida Ghost. I picked up a very small little specimen of this guy because it was all I could really afford at the time. I am struggling with it. I am a little bit worried about it. I'm not sure, you know, if we're gonna survive. I've tried to take it up, look at it, the roots a couple times, very sparing with it because I am a little worried about it, but overall I'm excited to see its growth and development as it gets its matured leaf shape, its different coloring, but yeah, I'm keeping a close eye on this guy. Next up, we've got the philodendron narrow, and this guy, sick. Are you kidding? Look at that leaf. What? I love it. Very similar leaf shape to like a caramel marble, but obviously without the crazy price tag or the crazy beautiful variegation. So you get what you pay for. But I'm in love with these leaves. They're so interesting. They're so cool. Very fun little guy to have in the room. Big fan of it. Also only just recently picked that guy up. Then we've got my philodendron Birkin. Now this guy is quite cool. This white stripes variegation is very interesting. He's a little lopsided because I kept him out of light for a long time. He was on my bedside table, but I soon realized that he was not flourishing there. So I have relocated him, and hopefully we get to see some new growth that also has the variegation. If you're not giving this guy enough light, you're just gonna get some regular leaves, regular green leaves, which is also beautiful. We love our plain green leaves as well. But if that's not something that you're looking for and you're looking to achieve these just remarkable, striking white lines, then definitely make sure you're giving it enough light. Next up, got two more left in the philodendron category. Next we've got my pink princess, and I think that this is a common thing for a lot of people who get into houseplant collecting, was that this was kind of such a wish list plant. It was really like, I told myself, you know, once I kind of established my care, I knew that I was able to take care of plants, that I would do well with them. I told myself I'd get a pink princess, and thanks to Tissue Culture, I was able to pick one up for like the reasonable price of $60. It has since grown. I don't have tons of pink on mine yet, but this guy he's funny with the variegation because maybe he'll give you some leaves that look a bit like this for a long time, not much pink on it at all. But then suddenly it'll pop one out with half a leaf that has pink. So yeah, I've got hope. I'm excited. We have a new little guy coming in, although he was stuck down in there for quite a while, so I had to pick him up. We'll see if it caused any damage. But you can see on this leaf especially the type of just bright, vibrant baby pink that you're gonna be getting on this guy. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I was ecstatic when I picked it up, and I still get excited every time I look at it because it's kind of a marker of the accomplishments that I've made as a plant mom, because I allowed myself to pick it up. And then finally, one of my favorite plants overall in my collection is my philodendron Cream Splash. Now, I did pick this up. It was sold to me as a Gabby, but since then I asked some people, I was able to get some identification on it, and it seems to be that it is very unlikely that I'd be able to have picked up a Gabby in Canada, and we're thinking that it is a Cream Splash. But the funny thing about these guys is that you really never know what you're gonna get when you get a new leaf, because you could get something that looks more like a Brazil, looks like a Gabby, looks like a Cream Splash. Like, they all just start to kind of melt together in the end. But you can see one of my most recent leaves here has just got so much white on it. Well, I guess cream is better. And then that bright lime green stripe down the middle, and I am just completely obsessed with this plant. It is gorgeous. It makes me so happy. I tried to propagate it. I failed. That's fine. Maybe I'll try again another day. But for right now, I just love looking at it. All right, so the next little guys that we're gonna be going over are my peperomias. There's just the 2 of them, and I've had these guys for a really long time. The first one is my peperomia Hope. Now, is it a bit scraggly? Yes. Do I love it anyway? Of course. To be honest, my light situation in this room is not really suited for a lot of the plants that I have, but I just make it work. I make it work. I've got a bit of a northwest facing window, lots of trees. They don't really ever get much direct light at all. I do have a couple plants under some grow lights that I know really need them to do much of anything. But to be honest, this really should be one of them because I'm starting to get these little runners that don't really have any leaves on them at all. But this is such a fun little plant. I love it. It's so interesting. The leaves so thick, and I just love how they feel. Love my little peperomia Hope. And the other peperomia that I have is the obtusifolia. This one is so interesting looking. I love the variegation. It is very yellow. It's also quite dusty. Oops. But again, just those really rubbery leaves that are classic to our peperomia family. And yeah, also the red petioles, so interesting. I love it. It's gotten quite tall. It used to be about this high when I first got it, so love to see the growth that it's given me. Probably should get a little support though soon because it's starting to lean, as do many of my plants as they reach for the sun that I am not giving them, but that's okay. We try our best, right? So next up, we have my 2 spathiphyllums. Now this first guy, your classic peace lily, don't have any blooms on it right now. I don't get blooms regularly, and that's probably just due to the limiting light conditions that I'm able to provide for it. But this plant and me have been on a journey, okay? When I first bought this, it was about 3 times the size that it is now. And I was really struggling with it. All of my leaves were brown, all of them were dying, and I couldn't figure out why. You can see I still struggle with it a bit. For sure I still struggle with it a bit. We all do, right? Brown tips on the end, but I'm talking entire leaves. It was not a good sight to see. And I soon realized that the city that I live in has incredibly hard water, and the peace lily specifically is very sensitive to, I believe, calcium in the water. So what I started doing was just filling up giant buckets and leaving them for many days before I used it on the peace lily, and I've seen incredible progress with that and really, really good results. But yeah, I've repotted this a lot of times. I've had to split it up a bunch of times, but I'm really proud of it. I think it's a measure of one of my accomplishments as a plant lover and owner. The next one that I have, and this is brand new to my collection, is the Spathiphyllum Jessica. I couldn't pass this up. I saw this on Instagram. I found out that a plant shop near me had them, and I drove 40 minutes to go pick it up because I had to. Look at this. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? That's gorgeous. And I'm really excited to have it. I do have to be very careful with both of my peace lilies that I'm giving them adequate water. I'm a little bit of an underwaterer. I do forget. I do sometimes get lazy, as do we all. But I gotta be careful with these guys, especially because they like to stay moist and they also like to stay humid, which is why I run my humidifier all the time, and my room is often a little bit of a misty mess. Now the next category that I've got is my pothos. You can't go wrong with a pothos. Everyone loves a pothos. Everybody, I think, has tried a pothos or has at least seen a pothos or has been in a room with a pothos. And my most prized pothos at the moment is this jade pothos. Now don't get me wrong, I did not grow this all myself. I bought it and it was quite full up here. It was beautiful, it was gorgeous. I couldn't pass it up, but I have been able to get some really nice length on it, and it hangs on top of my bookcase, and she's just gorgeous. She's stunning. It adds so much to the room. If you are newly interested in plants, I would absolutely recommend that you go pick up a pothos. Stick with the jade or golden, just your classic one, and then go from there. The golden pothos, which is, let me just put this guy down, he's huge. But this golden pothos that I have here, I'll just grab it in the pot, is one of the first plants that I ever got, along with that sweetheart philodendron that I was talking about, or that heartleaf philodendron I was talking about. The golden pothos is similar to the jade pothos, but it's got that yellow golden variegation. I don't actually have much variegation on mine, and that's because Again, I'm keeping it further away from the sun, so I'm gonna get leaves that are a bit more plain like this, although it does still have some really nice flecks that are interesting and fun. But just a really nice and easy guy, great to fill up spaces, and no, I love it. Then, getting slightly more interesting, I have my neon pothos. So similar coloring to the neon philodendron that I was showing you earlier, similar or exact shape as these other two pothos, but just again a more vibrant lime type of color. It is growing pretty funny. You can tell that the sun is over here to where the plant is laying because it is growing directly towards it. Had a little bit of struggle with this guy, but he seems to be on the mend and doing quite well. Tried to do a bit of a propagation with him, just add some propagations into the pot that my neighbor had given me, but they died out, so it's looking a bit less full than I would like, but you know, you live and you learn. And then finally, I have my pearls and jade pothos. I've got a little guy here, and then I've got a slightly bigger one right here. Now, I bought this as one big plant, just about the size of the neon one actually, but I was soon realizing that I was struggling with it. I was getting a lot of fungus gnats. I couldn't let the soil wasn't cooperating with me. I was really struggling with it. So what I did was I took it apart and I split it up into 3 categories: roots that looked bad, roots that looked okay, and roots that looked great. And I put them, I actually have a third little one of these pots with some more pearls and jade pothos in it over there. But those are the ones that aren't doing so well. And a little bit of an experiment. I just split them up and I see, okay, let's see how they do. Smaller pots, change out the soil, give it a bit more like an airier, a well-draining soil, a bit more perlite in there. And it seems to be doing a lot better. I've gotten some growth on this guy. Now, eventually I would like to recombine them once again, but I want to give them a little bit of a moment to catch their breath and see how well they do when they're a bit separated and on their own. Now, next up, before we get into my all-time favorite genus, I thought we'd just take a look at some of my more one-off plants. So let's start it off with the only anthurium that I own, the classic, like I believe the common name is like flamingo flower. It's like an Androecium, something like that, Anthurium androecium. But honestly, just pretty, just a fun little guy. This one also lives in the hallway, so I can give it more light. I am always getting such beautiful, bright pink flowers off of this. I know some people really don't like these because they're a little kind of like grocery store tacky, but I think they're fun. And again, I love pink. Next up, I have my jade plant. Now, this is one of the ones that lives under my grow lights, along with the string of hearts that I'll show you in a hot sec. But I've actually seen quite like speedy growth on this guy, which I was not expecting because it is a jade. But yeah, I wasn't sure how much I'd love it, but I really have grown to love it quite a bit. I think it's such a unique plant compared to all the other ones that I have in my collection. Yeah, I'm a fan. Next up is my string of hearts. Now, this was also a gift from my neighbor, the absolute plant goddess herself. And I'd always thought about picking it up on my own, but I knew that I didn't have the correct lighting conditions in my room. This one does live under a grow light, and I wasn't sure how well I'd be able to take care of it. But when it was offered to me for free, I couldn't pass it up. Now, again, similar to my Peperomia hope, I get quite long strands without getting many leaves, but that's honestly to be expected with the type of conditions that I'm giving it. But overall, it's doing quite well. And it was just two little strands when I first got it, and it has really grown out incredibly beautifully. And yeah, I'm overall really happy with it. Next up, Miss Calathea rattlesnake. Now, I kind of sworn off Calatheas when I picked up a Stromanthi Trio Star and absolutely brutally murdered it. It was awful. And I kind of sworn off anything prayer plant family. And then I was given this. And I said, oh, well, we're gonna have to make it work now. And this guy actually lives in a little enclosed terrarium because they need so much humidity. And I knew that my humidifier was not gonna cut it. But it is doing fantastic under there. I've got this brand new leaf that has just come in. And overall, I think I'm kind of killing it with the Calatheas. I'm making a bit of a comeback, and maybe I'll pick up more. Next up, we have my Pilea peperomioides. And such a fun name, first of all, such a fun name. And this guy is just a tiny little pup, one pup, and now it's given me 2 different little growth points now. Another fun little guy, great to see it grow. Big fan, nothing too special there. And then we've got my bird's nest snake plant. Now, I'm not a big snake plant person. It's never really just been something that I've been super interested in, but this guy is just beautiful. I love the way that how it opens up in the middle. I think it's just gorgeous. I love how light and bright the green is on the new leaves. It is actually, I only had one little guy, and now I've got two. It's given me two. I could separate it. Also needs a bit of water, but it's yeah, fun one for sure. And then the most indestructible plant of them all, the ZZ plant. This cannot be killed. It thrives off of neglect. Put this guy in a room with no light, no water for 8 months, and come back and see it still be alive, probably. Yeah, it's just a fun one. I really like it. It makes me happy, as do almost all of my plants. But this one I've been meaning to try to propagate and see how it goes, so maybe I'll give it a shot. But yeah, super indestructible. If you are someone that is worried about killing plants and you are after something that, you know, won't break your heart when you see it kind of start to fall apart, give the ZZ plant a chance, because you will be happily rewarded as you see it grow and not kill it.
I've also got my fiddle leaf fig here, which is down in a pot that I can't really pick up, but it came with about 8 of these giant beautiful paddle leaves, and I've lost all but 2 of them. But luckily I have succeeded in getting new growth, which is exciting. It's growing super slow for me. Is it beautiful? Is it a little funny looking? A little bit of an odd duckling, ugly duckling? Yeah. Do I love it anyway for all of its special, beautiful qualities that it brings to my collection? Absolutely. I know fiddle leaf figs are definitely something that a lot of people struggle with, and I have come close to maybe donating it or passing it on quite a few times, but at the end of the day, I cannot bear to part with it.
Now for the genus that has taken my heart and absolutely run away with it, and that is Syngoniums. I don't know why I love Syngoniums so much. It's just probably their beautiful, unique leaf shape, the types of different variegations. We're all just absolutely adore Syngoniums, and I will continue to collect them for the rest of my life. But starting off, we've just got our basic Syngonium podophyllum. Here, I think sometimes you'll hear it like the arrowhead plant, or I've seen like white butterfly. This is the biggest Syngonium that I have. Super full and nice. You can see again, it's kind of leaning, and I need to be better about rotating my plants. One day we'll get there. But yeah, just a classic one. I really love it. But again, one of the first plants I ever owned was actually this specific Syngonium right here. And again, really leaning, but that's all right. Now, I severely struggled with taking care of this plant. I lost all but 2 of its leaves, and I was holding on for dear life. I couldn't figure out what I was doing wrong, why they were drooping, why they were falling off, why they would turn brown. I was having a multitude of issues with this plant. But one day I started to figure out what kind of soil it liked, what kind of watering it liked, what kind of humidity it liked. And since then, I have been just so happy, and I feel like I've kind of cracked the code, which makes me really happy. We've got a new little guy coming in right here, which is so exciting. But yeah, this exact plant is the one that sparked not just my love for Syngoniums, but overall just like my love for plants in general. Next up, we have my Syngonium wendlandii, and this is such a beautiful, beautiful, dark, deep green. I love it. It looks almost kind of velvety. Huge fan of this. We've got a lot of different new growth points. I actually had this in the terrarium where the calathea is now for a long time, and I was getting crazy speedy growth. Yeah, that's the wendlandii. Then we've got, in the pink theme, my Syngonium neon robusta, or robusta, I'm not really sure which one it is. This pink is crazy. Look at that leaf. Are you kidding? Plants can come in that color? What? I think it is stunning. I think it is gorgeous. It was on my wish list for a very long time. I was at a random greenhouse, I saw it, and without even thinking, I picked it up. It was just automatic. My brain spotted and knew I had to have it and put it in my cart. And I'm so happy that I have it now. Now onto a few of my rarer Syngoniums. We've got the Syngonium Three Kings, which is, again, just so beautiful. The variegation on this plant is gorgeous. I love the contrasting colors that we have going on, as well as a super unique leaf shape. I had a little guy come in, didn't come in too hot, but there's another one right beside it, so maybe second time's the charm, right? Again, huge fan of this one. This was the first of the more rare Syngoniums that I picked up. But then the next one that I got super recently is my Syngonium albo. I saw the white on this plant and I couldn't pass it up. It is so gorgeous. But the unique thing about this one right here is that, take a look at that guy. Now to me that looks a lot more like an Aurea, and that's also what the owners of the plant shop that I went to thought as well, but there's not a second plant in here, it's the same guy, so I just found a really unique specimen that's giving me this white pattern, but also a little bit more of this like pale green, slightly yellow variegation pattern as well. But I've been going into the store to take a look at this specific Syngonium, not this specimen in particular, but just a few of the different albos that they had, and considered it for so long before finally I just decided, you know what, we're going in. I had 5 other Syngoniums already, and I know I can take care of them, so I took the leap. And he's been with me for, a week and a half, 2 weeks now, and he's doing pretty good. The white is intact, we're not seeing any browning or anything, so super happy with how this is going. And so that's my plant collection. That's all the little babies that I have in my care at the moment. I am so excited to continue loving, nurturing, caring for them, as well as maybe inviting a couple new babies into the family soon. I hope you really liked this video. If you know any other plant lovers in your life, maybe send it off to them, let them know to check it out. I plan on posting, every so often on the channel, mostly just about plant things, but who knows really what it has in store. But if you're interested in seeing more, I'd love it if you subscribed. And yeah, I'll see you next time.